Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the GG Report. I'm your host, Godfrey Gichuki. This is another very, very exciting moment for us. Those of you who love this show, karibuni sana. And we have a very interesting subject to discuss today. We're talking about election technology, how to win the hearts of voters. And I'm going to be introducing my guest to us. I will give you a preview of exactly what this conversation is going to be about. And those of you that are following this on the social media platforms, we are live on Elevate TV, Kenya, Facebook page, YouTube channel, and wherever you're watching from, if you're watching from your house on TV, I tell you, I encourage you, please share and continue to follow this conversation. So welcome. So today I have a special guest, my friend, Mr. Njoroge. Welcome to the show.
Asante.
Very nice. Very nice. I'll be introducing you shortly. Now, one of the anchoring piece of the concluded election was the use of technology in the form and shape of what we were calling the KIMS kit, both for identifying voters and transmitting the results. So some of the young people were hoping we could have taken this further to allowing them to vote online and maybe, kind of take it a little bit further. Maybe we should have had an app where they can log in, young people. So those were hopes. But today we want to ask ourselves, where do we stand on election technologies and what does the future look like, and how will election technology shape future elections? So that's the conversation today. And as always, this is the GG Report. It is a platform for big, bold, honest conversations on a broad range of issues, like I always say, social, cultural, economic, philosophical, theological. Today we're going to be talking technology. I believe you're going to enjoy this conversation. Let me introduce our guest to us. Our guest is Mr. Njoroge. He's the founder, chief executive officer of the East Africa Data Handlers. And this is one of the largest computer forensic and data handling company in Africa today. Mr. Njoroge received the highest recognition for his contribution in the ICT sector in Kenya and was awarded ICT Lifetime Award 2015 by the Computer Society of Kenya. And Mr. Njoroge holds an MBA from Università Cattolica in Italy, and a BSc in IT from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And those BSc IT graduates, they are known to be hackers, but we'll be asking our guest whether he's one of those hackers. So welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you.
Very good. So I always like beginning from the beginning. We would like to begin with you telling us about your career background and how you got to where you are today, and perhaps also tell us what inspires you.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I work for data handlers. I think people get angry when I say I work for. Everybody likes saying I own the company.
Yeah.
But I find it much more easier to say I work for East Africa Data Handlers. I'm the CEO.
Yeah.
Data Handlers has been here for the last 16 years.
All right.
We're a specialty data processing house, and we specialize in digital forensics and cybersecurity work.
Okay.
We're well known to try and recover data. I mean, that is what is would consider as customer facing. But majority of the work we do is investigative.
Okay.
So you have been hacked. You need somebody to help you unhack yourself.
Yes.
You have been, your data has been encrypted, the new way called ransomware, where people encrypt your data and they ask you to pay. We are the guys who help you unravel that problem.
Okay.
We also specialize in data processing, data warehousing, storage of data in the cloud. Majority of all that is what we do.
Okay.
We are in about 6 countries in Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. I think a lot of people, I'm sure in the IT industry, know you.
Yes.
And they know East African Data Handlers. You guys have, done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe because I think everyone who has ever used a computer knows how painful it is when your hard disk crashes.
Yes.
So where did you start?
Well, my first assignment after university, I joined Microsoft. And that's where majority of the interest in technology came about. But I originally never wanted to be a technocrat, as it were. I always thought I would do pharmaceutical. And that way, in the many years ago, when I think when you finish high school, there used to be, I think, a 3 months lapse before you join the university. No, a year.
Okay.
So I was trying to wait to try and join the university. Then I told my mother, maybe I'll try on these computers. So I do packages. Then and I got stuck.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, history has it that maybe it was originally God's intention that I be here.
Yes.
But I think it's very exciting.
Right.
To get into something that you never originally thought you should get into. And somehow you become good at it.
All right.
So we do not want to say we are very good.
Yes.
We don't want to say we are the very best.
Yes.
But we're exceptionally good at what we do.
Okay. Absolutely. And I think that's very, very good. I think there is the IT space, the technology space, especially information technology space, has been, a boom actually in this country, and Kenyans have been known to find a lot of opportunities there. So I think you're really a pioneer in many ways in that particular space. Did you work with Microsoft before going to university or after university?
I was fortunate enough to be working with Microsoft at the time I was still at the university.
Okay.
And it allowed me, at the time Microsoft was trying to get into Africa. So it allowed me to understand technology from an insider's perspective.
Yes.
So majority of the work I used to do was beta testing.
Okay.
So they would release an application, a solution, and they would send it to different partners to pilot it, to test it, and they would be able to, give feedback.
Okay.
So whether it's a manufacturing ERP, whether it's an enterprise system that they would like to bring in, whether it's a new Office by then or Windows, we would get an earlier version, which is considered as a better version.
Yes.
Give it to corporates. They would allow that Microsoft collects feedback from them, and out of that, they would improve the program before it's actually released in the market.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice. So by the time you graduated, then that, you already sold out.
Well, yes, I was.
To the techie world.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So let's talk about election technology, because that's really one of the things that is right now at the forefront of everyone.
True.
So, so what's happening in the election tech front, and what can we expect in the future?
Technology within election has really evolved. But for us, maybe it started with the 2013 election.
Okay.
Where now technology was largely used. Many of the people who would be watching us, maybe, I don't know how many have participated in the Mlolongo way of voting.
Yeah.
I think it was a very unfair way of voting where you have to queue behind the person you support.
Yes.
The problem with that is that you realize your cousin is on the other queue. So it's very painful. I think they had to come up with a secret ballot to try and at least save families from being torn apart by election issues.
Absolutely.
But I think it is quite impressive where we are as a country when it comes to technology.
Yes.
As you may know, is that at least this time we use KIMS kit to identify the voters.
Yes.
Personally, I was against the use of the KIMS kit without there being a backup for manual register.
Yeah, the manual, copy.
Yes.
Yes.
And the reason for that is the inherent nature of our people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a society where people do manual work.
Mm-hmm.
In my office currently, there is a lot of biometrics to open the door and to go into different offices.
Yes.
And you realize that even personally, I struggle to try and get myself across the different doors because my finger maybe has not been fairly used over the weekend because maybe I was doing some manual work at home, I was digging or something. But imagine somebody who does that faithfully every day. It really unfairly disadvantages them because they will not be easily identified.
Yes.
Technology has evolved in such a way that now the use of fingerprints, even though they are one of the most advanced way of identifying people, it is still a bit hazy.
Yes.
I happen to be a father of twins. And even though they are twins, they are completely different people.
Okay.
So the use of fingerprint really advantages a lot of us. But the use, for instance, of iris and the eye for identification is a much more advanced and much more unique way that would ensure that some of the disadvantaged people will not be disadvantaged by technology.
Okay.
Because it has to become much more easier. Because technology is meant to be an enabler.
Yes.
It is not meant to curtail or deny you the right to do specific things.
Yes.
So our advancement in the use of technology in election is quite commendable. But I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done to reduce the dependence on paper voting and to reduce the dependence on all these critical arrangements that are made, but to make it much more easier for people to be identified and for people to cast their vote in a much more easier way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also thought that, removing the possibility of checking people manually was actually a drawback.
True.
Because maybe I'm wrong, but I know that technology, even a computer, a very reliable computer, can just decide one day it's not working.
Yes.
Just like a car can stall. Even
they say in Kikuyu, cars are not good. They stall during the wedding. It's much more easier said in Kikuyu.
It's easier said in Kikuyu.
It's much more fun to say it in Kikuyu. But says cars are not good.
Yes.
They stall on the day of the wedding.
All right.
Yes.
That's the wisdom. It's a kind of a heuristic. So on the wedding day, that's when your wonderful car fails
to fail, and I mean you'll be forced to take a punda or a horse or something. Something that is. I mean, it tries to bring out the aspect that things can fall on you.
Yes,
they can fail. And your dependence on them has to be based on some redundancy.
Yes,
and our fact that we went into an election without a mechanism of redundancy was a huge risk.
Actually, by the way, that's something that you could talk about, redundancy, because I think as an expert in data and information, you're in that space. You know what it means. For example, a company gives you a contract to secure their data and store. So you. And maybe some people might not know what you guys actually do. You have a battery of servers and storage literally machines that are running 24/7, isn't it?
True, yes.
So a company gives you, say, like a bank or whatever, without naming,
Yeah.
naming these companies.
I have an oath of secrecy, so
yes,
I'm not
exactly.
even where your money's password is stored.
You can't say.
Yeah.
But then, so here you are, your machines are running,
Yeah.
and they are storing data for that wonderful company. So, and the reason why they do that is because, okay, so East African data handlers have our data. It's secure. But we also have our data in our own in-house servers, mirroring the other one.
Yeah.
So that in case that fails, they can recover from ours.
True.
In case ours fails, it's like the way you have two lungs.
And that's the way life should be.
Yes.
I mean, other than us having two hearts, we have two hands, two legs. One is the idea of God came up with redundancy. I mean, we cannot ignore the elements of redundancy.
Yes.
And I think it is an unfortunate place when we go into something as complex as such.
Yes.
To ensure to not have redundancy in place.
Okay.
Technology in itself is amazing.
Yes.
And it provides a wonderful platform to enable and make things easier.
Yes.
But it fails.
Yes.
And the acknowledgement of its possibility of failing is something that we must introspect as an everyday component of our utilization of technology as it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So there was the issue of the voter identification. So we were totally dependent on the kit and its function, and we observed that there were issues where the kit somehow just couldn't turn on, and in fact one of the presidential candidates was stranded.
And what happens is,
yes,
if you look at the IEBC database as it stands, and most of these issues you'll find them coming out in the Supreme Court petition. Yeah, is that 5 million people within the KIMS kit do not have their biometric data. Okay. That means there's no fingerprint, there is no photo of them. Yes. And these were the critical components that identify anybody. Yes. Once you put in your fingerprint, they will look at your face as is identified on the KIMS kit, and they will associate the face with the person they have in front of them. Yes. And if, for instance, 5 million are not identifiable because they don't have their data they are in, their fingerprints and all, what kind of identification are we saying they have been identified using? Okay. And this, for me, is a bigger concern than anything else. So technology basically used for identify, and then the transmission. Tell us about the transmission. Did everything work fine? The transmission in this particular instance didn't work as was envisioned. Okay. The first and biggest problem was that the data collated wasn't collated in the most accurate of ways. Okay. What would happen is that somebody would take a photo of the form 34A and take a distorted picture. Yes. The quality is not good enough. Maybe they took it very far. Maybe they were not very close. And what I meant is that what arrived on the other side wasn't quality enough to be used. Okay. What happens in other countries like the US and the rest, they have a machine. Once all these are cast, whether it's the form 34A, you plug it in, and the machine will have an automatic scanner. It will first verify whether this is the right document before it uploads the same, and then the same is counted as a ballot or whatever it is. What would happen in our case is that instead of taking a picture, we would require to slot it into a machine that first authenticates the validity of the document that it has, because it has security features, then at least use it to scan so that on the other side when it arrives, is a pre-authenticated material. Okay. If you look at the portal right now, you find that there's a lot of material that do not necessarily need to be on that portal. There's a lot of MCA sheets that have been uploaded 34As. There's a lot of gubernatorial sheets that have been applied as presidential. And you see that in itself is totally an invalid material they are in. Okay. So then the transmission also has been questioned in terms of whether it was hacked or not hacked. Okay. Okay. Whether it has qualified to be able to be secure enough to guarantee that everything therein cannot be compromised.
Okay.
And the question of compromises are thematic in election issues.
Yes.
And it goes beyond the four corners of this country, because the interest of any country tends to be global. Now we are now considered as global players. Now the world is called as a global village. So it means our neighbor there have an interest whether the president of this country is better, because, I mean, our relation between them and us is based on the fact that whoever is on the helm decides critical issues that would affect them.
Yes. Yes.
Uganda is affected by us. If we decide to close the Malaba border, they are messed up. The economy is collapsed. Our neighbors, Tanzania, depend on us. Our neighbors, Rwanda. So they would also have an interest in this. So the interest of securitizing the process in which materials are transmitted from the very source to the very end becomes critical.
Okay.
As defined in the 2017, the decision at the polling station is final.
Okay.
So results at the polling station are final. So it means that it is critical that everything that comes from the very unit of decision of this country has to be accurate and has to be clear for everybody to understand.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So, so you're saying that basically we still need to apply more technology, especially in the transmission side. I like what you're describing. Say, for example, I mean, relying on some polling officer's phone and its ability to take a scan image of that sheet itself is open to, to errors and lack of clarity. For example, like you're saying, this returning officer, I don't know whether they were given specific phones to use.
They use the KIMS kit to take the photos.
Oh, so the KIMS kit is the one taking the photos.
But you see, you realize that also the KIMS kit ability to take photos, never took into account that it needs to first pre-authenticate the document is taking.
Okay.
One of the critical conversation that you're finding around is, what is the authenticity of the forms on the platform?
Okay.
Are they the original ones or not?
All right.
And the only way of curing that is adding another layer of technology.
Yes.
That will pre-authenticate this form before it's transmitted.
Okay. Okay.
So you see, it convolutes our problem, because we are here on the KIMS kit.
Yes.
Now the next layer we need to add is another one that first pre-authenticates the form.
Yes.
Before it's transmitted. Maybe there will be another problem that will come in the near future.
Yeah.
That will be the first problem. The second problem is the use of technology for interpretation of data.
Okay.
Now, one of the challenges that you have found is that everybody, and I think my biggest problem the last few days has been my phone has rung off the hook.
Okay.
Where are we? To compare it to Konyuma, what the numbers?
Oh my goodness me.
The amount of answers I have had to reassure people has been a nightmare.
Okay.
Now, why did that happen? Because we failed to do one thing in our use on procurement of our technology for election this year.
Yes.
Is that we never incorporate something called OCR.
Okay. Whatever that is.
OCR allows us to take a picture, and then the words within the picture, if there are any words,
yes,
you can be able to copy them,
yes,
and paste without necessarily having now to look at the picture and retype them.
Exactly.
So if today you take your iPhone and you take the words written on our paper and you take a photo of it, it would allow you to copy that words exactly, and it was a picture, and paste it in a text format.
Yes.
And they are actual words.
Okay.
What that would do is that it would help stop the wastage of time in counting individual ballots.
Okay.
Because it means that by the time the data is coming in, we have pre-authenticated the form is good.
Yes.
We have a photo of that form. We have OCR that will automatically read what is the context of the form and paste them into a tallying system.
Yes.
That will automatically now place actual numbers from the form into a tallying system to make it easier.
Yeah, it's like the system can actually tally automatically.
Tally automatically.
And is that what you use for the primary school exams
yes.
marking?
Yes.
Yeah.
And see, all these things are much more efficient
yes.
in other entities within government
yes.
and in other platforms within government that we can take advantage of.
Okay.
The passport system does that OCR
Yes.
technology, which we could use.
Yes.
The new driving license system can do all this for us. I mean, we don't have to replicate all this. They are available.
Yes.
The driving license system cost about the government about 1.2 billion shillings.
Okay.
We would have taken advantage of that and sent it to IEBC for a few weeks to help us do this.
Okay.
So there is all sort of issues that we would do with OCR,
Yeah.
and it would negate the question of 0.01, whether it is 141,000 or whether it's 1,400. I have tried to do that math, and it's still not adding up to me. So I'm still down in all that.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you follow this conversation, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll continue on this conversation. I'm talking to Mr. Njoroge, CEO, Data Handlers, East Africa Data Handlers, and an expert in these technologies. So don't go away. Keep it Elevate TV. We are coming back.
Good marketing makes the company look smart. Great marketing makes the customer feel smart. Are you looking for a place to advertise your upcoming conference, church meeting, or ladies' meeting? Look no further. Elevate TV is offering you a chance to advertise from as low as 5,000 Kenyan shillings. Talk to us today. Call us on 0705 872237.
My name is Apostle David Juma. I host the Encourage a Pastor program.
God wants the church to operate fully in the supernatural.
Who is ministering to the leaders.
And he said, son, this is going to kill you.
Oh my God.
Because I want to take you places only dead men can walk.
At one point in my house, I just switched off. Najua ile watu wanasema kuhani.
And this show deals with different subjects and matters and issues that concern the pastors and church leaders.
If you receive a prophetic word, the first thing is go back to God.
God values you in the office he has called you to.
So if you're an apostle all the way to a Bible teacher, evangelist, or a prophet, this is your show.
God who began the good work in you, he will be faithful to bring it to completion.
Every Saturday night at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you will be impacted.
We are talking about election technologies and how to win the hearts of voters. And before we went to the break, Mr. Njoroge was telling us about, some of the technologies we have, what we actually did use for this just concluded election. And I'm saying concluded, quote unquote, because as you and me know, maybe by the time you watch this program, there are still issues around the elections that happened last week in Kenya. So let's go back to this conversation. So there were challenges in terms of the data that was, the papers, the uploading of that information, transmitting it centrally. But there was a requirement by our election system or laws, especially given last 2017, the disputes that arose around that election. There were requirements that you have to have the electronically transmitted results from the polling centers. Yes. And so we now know, as you describe, there's the issue of what you have is an image, and you got to literally look at it manually and tabulate. And where there is a dispute, then somebody can say, okay, what have you tabulated? What is there? And then they can confirm. Okay, so that opens up to a little bit of problems. Let's now talk about, because I want us to bring the human face to this. Can we envision a situation whereby we build a system that is completely failure-proof?
Yes, we can. And not necessarily failure-proof, but that encapsulates all the issues that there are around elections.
Okay.
Let me give an example.
Yeah.
The current challenge right now that I'm hearing everybody saying is that there was a lot of ballot stuffing. What would happen if the ballot box itself had a counter that every time you put in the ballot paper, it counts it automatically. Just doesn't say who has voted, just says it has 30 ballots inside.
Yes.
It makes it easier to know these 30, and the ones we've issued there are 30. It validates that the whatever is on the box is exactly what has been issued.
Yes.
There's no extra, and we don't expect anything extra other than the 30 that are inside here. I had in one of the elections, I think in Kirinyaga, when somebody said, "Oh, we have just seen a new ballot box." I mean, and these are issues that we could cure.
Yes.
Very quickly by bringing technology within this.
Okay.
The need, and I think one of the things that we need to know is that as we move into the future, and I commend Kenyans for having moved this far, where we are so much at peace, even though the elections have not been agreed. Me and you do not care where you stood at.
Yeah.
I have had friends whose husband and wife are completely on different sides, but they somehow agree to principally disagree on it.
Yes.
But essentially what we have is that we have an opportunity to improve strides ahead of our compadres in Africa, but also as a global player in democracy.
Okay.
Because the only way we can insulate Africa from the continuous wars that are there and are seen because of the continued demand for expansion of democracy is a fairness in the process.
Yes.
Where everybody believes with certainty, I lost because everything is there.
Yes.
So when we say that we have full proof and solutions, we would certainly achieve it.
Okay.
But the embracement of technology, without there being suspicion across in each of us, so that when I look at you and I look at IEBC as an example, I look at them as a fair arbiter in the engagement of any of these election issues, the electioneering exercise, and I feel that their involvement is not there to defeat the will of the people, but is there to enable the projection of the people.
Absolutely.
One of the critical components that I have seen that technology would solve is a problem of who is the actual winner when it comes to numbers.
Okay.
Now, remember, our president is elected on the person who has won 50% of the vote that is being cast and one vote.
Yes.
Not 50 plus one in terms of 100,000 votes, but it's a singular vote.
Yes.
So it tells you that every single vote is critical in the determination of the president of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes, that's correct.
So it means that in enablement and the use of technology to make this happen, it makes it very easy for people to use and believe that the one singular vote should be appreciated. So when we are saying we are 0.1% off, we are 1,400 votes off, maybe 141,000 votes or 11,400. I don't know the number, but somehow we are somehow off. And that off is not acceptable as per the constitution.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, of course, the other puzzle around the difference between 0.01% and 0.01 without the percentage sign. You know, I'm sure for you to graduate with an IT degree, you must have done some bit of serious maths, didn't you?
Yes, and one of the things that I know for a fact is things called permutations and combinations.
Yes.
where the possibilities that if we were three of us here,
Yes.
I would sit here, you'd sit there, somebody else would sit here.
Yes.
The other combination is that you would sit in the middle, I would sit there. What are the possibilities that we would project in different forms? and these are the complexities that we find, for instance.
Yes.
In analyzing technological results, election results.
Yes.
Because when you bring technology into it,
yes,
you see very glaring issues that make it very easy to know.
Maybe that's why Hon Joseph Kamodo, God rest his soul in peace, was one of the key pillars in the push for Mlolongo. True. And it was just absolutely ridiculous, but we did it.
We did it because, I mean, it made sense at the time.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's like the way you're trying to solve a puzzle.
But I think even today,
yes,
in all honesty,
yes,
I would go for Mlolongo. Because it's cheap. I mean, we spent 300 billion shillings on this last election.
Oh my goodness.
It would be cheaper if we told people, pange line, unaenda unasema mwenye nataka, unasema nataka hule.
Mr. Njoroge, that's very interesting about the issue of Mlolongo. Yeah, maybe we'll park that because I don't think where we want to resurrect the Mlolongo problem is people queuing physically to cast their votes. So that we tried that experiment
behind the person you're supporting.
Yeah, behind the candidate. So
yes, yeah,
physically. So that was quite an amazing scene. Okay, so let's now move on and talk about the young people. I think clearly, Mr. Njoroge, you must have noticed that, and it came out, that actually young people kind of appeared a bit disfranchised. They didn't turn out as they should have.
One of the problems that we have, and I want to blame it on a very unique issue, is I blame the microwave for this. The instantaneous solutions to our very deepest pang, which is hunger,
yes,
is solved by a microwave. Yes. Instantly you put in a cold, chilled meal, and within 2 to 3 minutes it's ready and you're good to go.
Hot and steaming.
Hot and steaming, and you're happy and you're good to go.
Yes.
We are at a space where we have found things much more easier and much more efficiently delivered to us.
Okay.
Food on the go, news on the go, updates on issues that instantly come to us. But we must appreciate that there are things that are unnecessarily unable to come to us instantaneously. And that for that is democracy.
Yes.
Which we must appreciate that would suddenly not come as quickly as we want and not in the form and way we expect it to come.
That's true.
So as much as we want to embrace technology, the embracement of technology within election will suddenly solve the puzzle of who won rightfully.
Yes.
But will not cure the problem of how quickly can we know who won. So that we, I mean, maybe in the next 20, 30 years, maybe, God willing, we'll have a candidate by the close of the polls within an hour, you know who your president is, and it's a done deal. And there's accuracy and all. But one of the things that you will find consistently in the 2027 election going forward, the question of who won will reduce. The question of process is what will become critical.
Okay.
How was everything done? Did we follow the procedure? Did we do the right thing? Because the involvement of technology to solve and reduce voter election malpractice, maybe staffing, maybe printing on ballots, will really reduce. But what will increase is a process question. Is everything done rightfully as prescribed by the law?
Okay.
So as I say, the young people have a challenge to embrace democratical conversations because they shape our future.
Yes.
For many years, I always thought that I have no role in governance of this country. As long as I'm doing my business, I am good to go.
And by the way, that's something I would really like you to speak to,
yes,
because it also informs another conversation we may not have today.
Yes.
Is the same thing about the church.
Yes.
The pastor. Clearly, we think the pastor has nothing to do with elections.
Yes, sure.
And so the professional, the entrepreneur like yourself,
yes,
it's very easy to say, look, I'm busy. I'm doing my thing. You know, look, I am happy here.
Yes.
I'm
successful in what I'm doing.
I'm successful in what I'm doing. I'm truly engaged.
Yeah.
I have no time for politics.
Issues.
Yes. So
but they shape the form of the way things will go. Look at Keroshe. Look at Wines of the World. I mean, these are organizations that were there, and issues with government forces such industries to close down. I'm not trying to speak to impute the issues of government. I'm trying to say that governance and government itself create policies that benefit you. Whether you're a Mutumba trader that says we will no longer accept Mutumba, whether you're a counterfeit product, somebody who sells counterfeit products from China, and the government says we will no longer accept counterfeit products. These are issues that will affect you. So policy, at the policy level, at the political level, it looks very unattainable and something you don't want to be involved. But at the policy level, it affects you as a business.
Yes.
It will affect you as a pastor because maybe we'll start taxing you. Maybe we'll start requiring that anybody who pays a tithe has to pay a percentage of it as tax. All these are issues that we need to have a conversation, and we cannot have a conversation about them unless we are at the ballot.
Okay.
Where decisions are made by the people, for the people, and for the betterment of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that's very well put. And so that's what we actually need to let our young people know.
Yes.
As much as they want things nice and easy, it's going to have to take you guys, you know, the young people going out there, literally. You know, I like using the right roundabout metaphor, because that place, obviously, I can't see you or me standing next to one of those pillars listening to a politician. And you know whether somebody's going to drop a rock, you know, some angry protester. True. So, but then it has to be done.
Yes.
We got to actually accept that that's what politics is about. And that's why politicians now look like heroes, because these are guys who brace themselves for absolutely amazing feats.
The growing conversation that comes with electioneering and looking for elective office, I think is a very tiresome task.
Yes.
And I applaud anybody who can do it, because personally, I don't think I am built for it. Maybe in the future, who knows?
Yes.
But for now, I feel it's a very gruesome task.
Yes.
It would require people who would say very derogatory things about you, very untrue things. And for me, for instance, to be engaged as a as a technological expert in this conversation has really exposed me to see two things: the brilliant side of our people.
Yes,
that is very, very amazing. And you find people who present issues to you, they inbox me, they write me on my Facebook, and I'm very impressed by the kind of conversation that I am able to have. But I'm also disappointed with the level of ignorance that is embraced by some of us, who find that using derogatory terms and insulting you would really solve issues. So the embracement of technology would create a platform for conversation.
Okay.
Not to come and impute negative things about you, but to present our issues and debate on them in a fair approach that does not necessarily leave somebody wanting to be under the blanket because of the embarrassing things that have been written and spoken about you that are really untrue. So it is one thing to have an electioneering process that embraces the young people, but it's also another thing that the young people have to embrace it, where they participate in the conversation. I may say, yes, I will not come and cast my vote, but I would want to listen. I would want to air my opinion. I would want to be a partaker in the policy making of the issues that we would want, that will affect us as a young people. These are issues that we might not do and ignore. But I think the most important thing in doing so is spending a lot of time in civic education.
Absolutely.
Bringing out the nationhood, bringing out the benefit of being a countryman.
Okay.
Yes, it changes a lot of things.
Absolutely. Actually, by the way, again, talking about civic issues, maybe the other issue is whether technology would come in handy in terms of civic education. Do you think there's a scope for a bit of technology? I don't know. I don't know what maybe do you think that can help us?
Yes, it can help. But the current problem, and you've seen in the 2022 election,
there
has been the use of technology to dispense disinformation.
Okay.
One of the most successful tools that are being embraced in the electioneering process is what we call influence of voters through technology.
Okay.
A few years back, there was a Cambridge Analytica issue that brought in an aspect whereby over 50 million Americans were influenced without their knowledge because they did something called ad serving to specific people who you thought would receive specific content based on their political affiliation.
Yes.
So, for instance, if you support Kenya Kwanza, you will see Azimio negative material that will radicalize you more to support your cause.
Okay.
And if I support a different side, I am forced to look at things that are supporting, are disinformation to the other side, and it radicalizes me more. And if I'm somewhere in the middle, they serve me with what will positively make me sway towards the side that they want. And that affected the decisions of many Americans, as it were.
Okay.
The same is said to have been used in Kenya. And what you've seen in the last election that I just concluded is the same thing, where you are told, oh, by the way, Njoroge has won the governor for Nyeri town. And that is spreading all over. By the time you realize, you check the official tally, we're even barely halfway. But because of the power of disinformation,
I noticed that, Mr. Njoroge. I mean, it was so real.
Yes.
Because, for example, from where I sit, the Kirinyaga County governor seat, Madame Gracie had won that seat several times on the social media. From the very start, you know. And I'm not imputing malpractice on the part of my Facebook friends.
Yeah.
But I think this information just was, it would be churned out. It would flow out here. And then before you know it, somebody is actually sending me congratulatory messages and all that, or rather sending out.
Yes.
And then you are wondering, also, I'm the only one behind.
So you see, like, for instance, this morning I woke up to very interesting news that Polycarp has been reappointed to Equity. Whether that is true or not, I don't know. And in essence,
no, me, I thought he has. I was almost beginning to congratulate him.
I called Kidero and I'm like, oh, congratulations, boss. Then I see the news in a different way. I mean, this level of disinformation is very bad. And what it does, it influences your decision-making capability.
Yes.
And it forces you to make an unfair and uncalled for decision.
Yes.
That may have been influenced on you on the aspect of what you're seeing.
Okay.
You need to realize the power of social media.
Right.
Social media is the one with the biggest following, whether they're bright or not bright, whatever they are saying is brilliant or not. That one is the truth.
Yes.
And if you say to the guy with the 5 million followers, it is absolute truth and nothing else but the truth. And anybody else with 1 follower who says this is not the truth, they can just go away with their information.
Absolutely. Mr. Njoroge, what happens is that when you get a forward or some message from some, Facebook, say, guy, you actually check how popular he is. How many people are commenting? If you see, in 1 hour, he has 1,000, comments.
You know this is the right guy.
This is the right guy. Yes. This must be the truth. And so there's a lot of opaqueness on the side of the social media than in reality. Wow, amazing. What else do you think we're not talking about as we wrap up this?
What we are not talking about is where it leaves us as a people.
Okay.
And where it does leave us is it leaves us in a worse off situation where when our technology is compromised, we subvert the will of the people.
Okay.
And we defeat the original intent. That was original intent by the people.
Okay.
And that subversion has inherently derailed very many people.
Okay.
Who have always been denied what they believe is their rightful leaders.
Okay.
All the way from the grassroots level to the national level.
Okay.
And we must embrace a fair, competitive approach that does guarantee us a win.
Okay.
Today in the morning, I had a conversation. I was in a meeting and somebody asked, if you're playing football and you are able to cut off your competitor and force them on the ground and they're about to score, and the ref doesn't see and says play on, is that fair? Is the fact that you won the game fair to the other competitors when you use unscrupulous ways of winning?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether the answer is yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
But we must embrace a way that gives the people a will.
Okay.
And if technology has to become an embraced conversation, we have to bring out the confidence that it brings that the people have to trust.
Okay.
If you wake up in the morning and you realize that your mobile money balance is 20 shillings, you won't, by the time you sleep tomorrow morning, when you go to bed with 20 shillings, you won't wake up and find the same 20.
Yes.
You don't wake up in the morning and say the balance is like 2,220. You're like, where is the 2,000 shillings from? Or you find that it is more or less.
Mm-hmm.
The unfairness of it makes it impossible for you to trust it.
Okay.
So you must be able to depend on technology that is dependable and can be audited to show whether there is malpractice or not. Okay. If we cannot audit our technology, however brilliant it is, then it doesn't serve our people.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, before we end this conversation, I want us to talk about the young people one more time, but this time around, perhaps I would like you to, I believe you have a message for the young people. You are a successful entrepreneur, and you've been involved in the technology, most of your career.
Yes.
You have a message for the young people.
Yes.
Yeah, so I want you to look at that camera and talk to young people.
I think the one thing that they must understand is the future is very bright.
Mm.
Our future is guaranteed as long as we are able to embrace technology. But for the betterment of our people, whether it's in electioneering, whether it's in doing our business, there is an amazing future for us. And we as a people have lagged behind because most of the things that we thought would have been achieved in our lifetimes haven't been achieved. I think it's time that we made leaps and bounds to go ahead of our other compadres around the world by embracing technology. Technology should not be used to drive divisions among us, but should enable us to come together, to laugh and to enjoy, but not become addicted to them, but it gives us success. So our success as young people is guaranteed in us solving our everyday problems, in enabling our people. We will not find another hope outside. Our hope is found within us. There's no better technology that is out there. It is only found in us. The best mobile money payments in the world is found in Africa, built by Africans. The best banking solutions in the world are built here in Africa, and more so in Kenya, that are made by Kenyans. The best payment systems in the world are here. So our best hope are found in our young people. So I want to impound on you, I want to embrace that you pursue that and pursue it as a great passion. Finally, our people and our people's problems are within us, and we are the only ones who can solve our problems. So let us be the ones to solve our problems, and we shall certainly be successful. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Njoroge. It's such a pleasure to have you on the set. I know you're a busy man running one of the biggest IT company and enterprise in Africa. I mean, amazing story. So thank you so much for having come on this show. I really believe that we should revisit this conversation.
We should, yes.
Maybe talk more about the business side of things.
True.
And thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this episode, and thank you very much for staying tuned in and listening in this conversation. We wish you God's blessing, and thank you for coming on the Elevate TV and keep it Elevate. God bless you. I've been your host, Godfrey Gichuki, and thank you for watching Elevate TV and the Gigi Report. Bye for now.